Hello again, everyone, and welcome to part 4 of my experience with the Fae. So, I will start from where we left off last time. Rainbows and butterflies is what he would bring to me to help me feel better. So, my relationship with him started to grow as I understood more of his intentions. And I would see him in my meditations, and I learned that they fly a little differently than what some of us may think they fly like. And I'm guessing it's for aerodynamics as well. So it made sense. It made a lot of sense when I started to think about it. So I'll move on into the next experience. So in this experience, I will say it was a bit more intimate. It was in the wee hours of the morning, and I was talking to him. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was speaking to him. And I kept feeling that wash hit my chest, my heart. I learned that he was very in tune with the heart chakra. Very in tune. So when I felt him, I always felt him on my chest and my shoulders. Just that tingling wash. And so I remember just feeling very, very warm as I was kind of talking to him. Almost like he was being a little flirty. Because I continued to feel this feeling like it would just come again and again. And I was like, okay. So I remember lying down and closing my eyes. And I entered into a limbo state. And some of you may understand what a limbo state is. For some people, it can be kind of a scary experience. And for some, it's just an experience where you're kind of in between sleep and awake, and you can interact with the spirit world in this way as well. For me, I've never had any scary experiences in this state. I know some have, but I myself have never had a scary experience in this state. They've always been very, very good experiences. And so I will state that I shared an intimate experience with my Fae in this state of mind. It was a very brief moment, but it was unmistakable. And I remember still hearing the television in the background that I had playing. I think I was playing The Simpsons on DVD. So I could still hear it playing. But I felt this, physically felt this experience. And I woke up in a couple of hours and got ready for work, and my mind kept being brought back to this experience that I had. And I thought maybe it was just a dream. And on my way to work, I was listening to a comedy channel. And the comedian started, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he was like talking about how he met his girlfriend. And he said that his friend was like, how do you meet a girl like that? Do you have to sit on a fairy mushroom and call her in with a magic flute and, dance with the fairies and, all this other stuff? Is that how you find is that how you make love to a beautiful woman like that? And it just struck me that they were talking about magical fairies and intimate experiences. and it struck me. Something in my chest kind of went, and I was like, ooh, what was that all about? But it stuck with me. I couldn't shake it. I couldn't shake it. I couldn't shake it. Like all day, when you have that thing in your mind, just constantly being brought back to you, brought back to you, brought back to you. And I said, oh my, I think this actually happened. And I got in contact with my, my friend again, and, my psychic medium. And she said, because I could actually go to her house at that time. She said, his cheeks are turning red right now, and he's looking down like. And I was like, really? And she said, oh yes. She said, he's kind of shy about talking about it in public, but she, at this time at least, but she said, yeah, she said, something definitely happened between you two. But, you're not imagining things. And she told me, she said, when you feel these things, just remember and understand, that when you're in that limbo state, that's sometimes how the spirit world can communicate with you. And she said, she said, sometimes, these beings, if they communicate with us, or they reach out to us, you will feel them. If you're able to, you will feel them. So she said, trust your instincts. She said, yes, something happened that night, between you two, involving him and you. So yes. So then I was like super surprised, and I said, between a fairy and a human though. And she's like, that's not how he sees you. When he sees you, he sees a mermaid. He doesn't see a human. And I also learned that even with humans, some fae, reach out to them in that way. That it's not actually as unthinkable as one might imagine. So that happened. And after that happened, it's never happened again. It was just that single encounter. And and after that, I started noticing that he would get jealous if I was seeing someone. I sat down to watch an anime with someone, and he distorted the audio in the anime, and we couldn't watch it. And I was like, I knew who it was. I was like, oh, okay. Or another time, he went to take a shower, and there was a big bug in the shower, and I was like, really? I was like, okay. Another one of a sweet experience that I had with him was one morning I was getting ready for work, and I was reaching for a beauty tool in my bathroom, and I couldn't find it. But I didn't have the time to deal with it. I didn't have the time to mess with it, so I just, okay, gotta go. But it wasn't there, and I always put it in the same place every time. But that time it wasn't there. So I was like, well, okay, gotta go. And it was either the next day or the day after. I went to reach for something totally different, like my hairbrush. I was reaching for my hairbrush. And as I reached for my hairbrush, I saw it right back in the same place that it had always been, that it hadn't been, before that, And I was like, I reached for the hairbrush and I went, oh. I was like, it's back. The little thing, it's back. I couldn't, I was like, I didn't go searching for it. I didn't find it. How did it get back and where did it go? And then I did some research online and I learned that Fae will occasionally take something and then they'll bring it back. They'll bring it back to you. So I said, okay. I said, I see. I said, all right, I'll get the message. I understand, you know. And I said, thank you, you know. So he was just playing, you know, or telling me something like, hey, you're beautiful. You don't need this, you know. So yeah, that was a cool experience as well that I had with him. And so at that time, I also started to see more dragonflies. Very obvious dragonflies. I'm not talking about just flying through the air that I happen to see or anything like that. I'm talking like they would come close to me, or they'd be sitting near me very close, or I would just see them literally in my path, sitting on the sidewalk, just right there, or right on my window, just right there. Huge dragonflies, huge. And I started to see big moths as well. I love moths. I love them. I love them when they're so big. And butterflies. I love butterflies. You know, and dragonflies. I love dragonflies. So I started seeing these and I was like, wow. And I learned that dragonflies and such obvious things in your path can be a message from the spirit world saying, hey, we're trying to communicate with you. There's something you need to know. So I said, what is it, you know? And at that time I learned that he had brought to my attention the birth of 2 baby girls in his colony, in his fairy colony. They were his daughters. And they were twins, because he's actually a twin. He has a twin brother that I actually met in a dream. I'll tell you that really quick. I had a dream where I started seeing him very clearly in my dreams. His blue skin. He has slope shoulders. So I don't know if you've ever seen a guy with slope shoulders, like they kind of have like, you know, their neck and then their shoulders kind of like are sloped. So he has that slope shoulder and very defined pectoral, skinny guy, but very defined pectoral muscles and those slope shoulders. And he has, I'll show you a picture of him. He has brown hair kind of down to his shoulders, and he's wiry but kind of toned, you know, guy. Wears leaves and very bold, and he's very skilled. And that's normally how I saw him. And he has freckles. And I noticed that on his bottom lip, he has like a white tone to his bottom lip and a cleft in his bottom lip. Like right in the middle, there's a little line right here. And in that line, it's kind of a greenish color. And I started seeing him very clearly in my dreams. And one night, I had a dream where I thought I saw him. And I gave him a hug. And he hugged me super tight. And he put his forehead on my forehead. And he was trying to give me a kiss. And I looked at him, and I looked at his hair, and I looked at his face. And I said, wait a minute, you're not, and I said his name. I said, you're not him. Who are you? And he winked at me, and he smiled, and I could hear the real fairy, my real fairy guy, friend, from a distance away going, like, hey. And he got up from holding me, and he kind of laughed, and then he darted away, and he came and looked at me, like, and then he saw him run out, and he chased after him. And I learned that day I had met his brother, they're very similar in appearance. I had met his brother, and but his brother's a little bit more of a wild card, and so he invaded that dream, but I had never seen him after that. I think he sufficiently chased his brother away, but yes, I saw a flash of his father, very very close to how he looks, but more reserved. And I got to see them, and as I meditated, I started to see flashes, very clear flashes of different forest beings. I remember seeing his friend. His friend is Irish, and he met him in Ireland, and he does speak Gaelic. I also learned that my Fae was actually originated from the Scotland area, and I've gradually moved down to that Republic area after, I guess, some things had happened. But he's almost 800 years old. He's very old. Some Fae, I've learned, they do age, and other Fae do not age, and other Fae age very, 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 very slowly. So there's different types of lifespans for Fae as well. And this video is getting a little long, so let me finish what I saw. I met his friend in a dream where I was walking, and I was calling my fairy's name. I kept calling for him and calling for him. And I saw something flying in the air, and I held out my hand like this, and this little man sat in my hand, and then he grew into like about that tall, and he stood there, and he had blue skin, and he was a portly fellow, and I remember he had bright red orange hair, and it was like a little teased puffball on his head, and it kind of came out to the side here and a little bit over here, and he had a very defined nose and lips, and he had on a green vest and nothing on underneath, so you could see his belly, and green pants. And the lapel of his green vest, the inside of it was bright orange. And I remember him standing there just very proudly looking at me. And I said, "Can you tell me where," and I said his name is, "Can you tell me where he is?" And he looked at me very proudly and he said, "Nope." And I woke up. Oh, goodness. But I learned that his friend was from Ireland. And he did have an Irish accent. I remember when Christina was channeling him, my psychic medium, she said that he said, and she's from Mississippi. She's a Mississippi girl and very strong. She kind of has a southern accent. But she said, like out of the blue, she said, he says, "Many blessings to you." And it was just such a stark contrast of accent from what she normally speaks that it was like, whoa. So that was a cool experience, to meet his friend. And so with that, I will end it here because this is getting long. And I'll see you in part 5 of my experience with the Fae. And I wish you all a beautiful evening. Feel free to follow me on Facebook. I leave that link down in the description below, and I'll see you later. Thank you so much. Blessings to you, and take care. Goodbye.